What's up everyone, this is FP Sticks bringing you some more Go Battle League battles here in the Great League, and in today's video we are going to be running a team that was suggested to me by a fellow content creator, Wholesome _. You may also know him in the Play Pokemon tournaments. He is one of the shoutcasters, and in my Twitch live stream he recommended that I run this team of Galarian, Weezing, Shadow Feraligatr, and then Mandibuzz. I had a lot of good battles with this and I felt like the team performed really well despite me making some misplays, but this team actually carried me into the veteran ranking, so above 2500 elo. And let's jump right into these battles and I'll kind of talk through some of the situations that I encountered. Let me know down in the comments, what team are you enjoying running in Great League? So Galarian Weezing into the Moltres was a favorable lead. They end up going into Diggersby, and I kind of make a misplay here. I'm very slow to my response with this Feraligatr, and Feraligatr isn't necessarily the best response to a Diggersby because those Shadow Claws are double resisted. There is a case to be made that I should have went into Mandibuzz here just for a safer matchup. But I'm going to continue to chip away at these shields. Shadow Feraligatr is very glassy, so I feel like this Scorching Sands might be enough to knock me out. I will commit my second shield. And I do easily win the CMP tie against the Diggersby here. But that Galarian Moltres, now that my shields are down, is going to be able to land a Brave Bird on one of my Pokemon. You can see Diggersby wins the secondary matchup there. I'm going to bring out my Mandibuzz and farm this all the way down. Fire Punches are really not threatening. My opponent did not want that to happen, but now they're switch locked with their Galarian Moltres. I'm going to bring out my Weezing here and go straight for the Overheat. The big problem now is that the Diggersby has energy stored and can swap back in. Let's see what my opponent wants to bring in. It is the Diggersby. They should be able to get to a Scorching Sands, and do I survive this? I do tank that. Able to farm them down, and what is in the back? It is a Drapion, so going to be able to land this Overheat and then safely go into my Mandibuzz. Because I'm running Air Slash on my Mandibuzz, this is more favorable of a matchup. You're able to hit for neutral damage here instead of resisted damage if you were running Snarl. So despite kind of playing sloppy in that secondary matchup, we're able to take this game here. Diggersby is slightly awkward for this team, but with Galarian Weezing, you get to the Overheats fairly quickly, so you could drop an Overheat and then pivot out of there. Very favorable lead here against a Guzzlord. Out comes a Credilli. This is also kind of an awkward matchup for this team because Credilli can hit super effective on the Feraligatr and the Mandibuzz. So I am opting to stay in here, but handling that Guzzlord in the back is going to be a little bit awkward. They land the Rock Tomb. I commit to the Overheat here, and then regardless of what they do, I probably want to swap out of here. I do go into my Feraligatr because now they're in range where one Hydro Cannon can easily knock them out. And if they come back in with the Guzzlord like they do now, I can get to an Ice Beam that will hit for super effective damage. They do end up shielding that, unfortunate, but I really want to be able to get this Ice Beam on the Guzzlord here. I'll shield this up and then see what they want to do. They're staying in, going to be able to land this Ice Beam. I don't think this is going to be enough to take it out from that health. It actually is just enough to knock it out. They still have the Credilli that's going to be awkward. They bring out the Clodsire, and I'm able to immediately go for this Hydro Cannon. This is going to do massive damage on the Clodsire. And at this point, we're looking all right here. I can safely bring out my Mandibuzz. Out comes Credilli once again. I swap into my Galarian Weezing. I'm hoping that I should survive this Rock Tomb. And I barely tanked that, able to get to a Sludge, even though my attack has been debuffed. That hits for neutral damage on the Credilli. And at this point, there's no way the Clodsire is going to be able to chunk through the Mandibuzz, so we're able to take that game. Good game. Annihilape lead, very favorable for the Galarian Weezing here. They swap into Drapion. Again, we don't have a direct hard counter to a Drapion. One thing I was really running into with this team is the types of Pokemon that my opponent would swap into my Galarian Weezing. I didn't necessarily have a super hard counter to that. So most of the time I would stay in for a little bit, throw an Overheat, and then either get a shield or do massive damage to guarantee that I can still have the alignment that I need in the late game. But Mandibuzz into Shadow Drapion, I'm totally fine absorbing these Aqua Tails here. Going to throw the Aerial Ace and see what they want to do. They let that go. And I will commit one shield, hopefully be able to farm them down here, because I want to keep my Galarian Weezing aligned to the Annihilape. Dedenne is also very, very awkward, but now I know that my Galarian Weezing and I know that my Galarian Weezing has play against both of their final Pokemon, so I do not want to allow this Dedenne to get a huge energy advantage, so that's why I pivot back into my Galarian Weezing here. Going to go for the super effective Sludge against the Fairy typing of the Dedenne. And we do lose the CMP tie here. I'm hoping that I survive this Parabolic Charge. I do survive it. This Annihilape is going to be very awkward to deal with in the back. I don't want to get farmed down, so I immediately go into my Feraligatr, guaranteeing that I can reach this Hydro Cannon right as they're able to get to a Rage Fist here. I will be able to survive this. This Hydro Cannon should be able to knock them out, and then I could Shadow Claw down the Dedenne and take that game there. Dedenne also very awkward for this team. Okay, Galarian Weezing into the Jumpluff. They immediately pivot into their Feraligatr. Again, we don't have a direct hard counter to a Feraligatr safe swap, so I'm going to throw a Sludge, swap into my own Gator, and now if I can farm this down, the Ice Beam is going to pretty much be lethal on that Jumpluff. I can let one Hydro Cannon go through. I will have to shield once if I want to commit to this farm down. And I'm hoping that I can potentially reach 2 Ice Beams against that Jumpluff. So out comes the Jumpluff. I go immediately for the Ice Beam to either guarantee the shield or massive damage. They do end up shielding that, but I'm able to reach another Ice Beam. At this point, it looks like they're committing to double shielding and farming me down. Getting hit by an Acrobatics from the Jumpluff would really do a lot of damage. But let's see what I want to bring in here. I could go into the Galarian Weezing, but probably going to have to commit a shield on the potential Acrobatics. And honestly, at that health range, I don't think Overheat is going to be able to do enough. I do correctly shield up one of those. Out comes a Marowak. Now, this Shadow Kanto Marowak does have access to Rock Slide. Let's see how much damage it's going to do. Slightly under half there. So I know that I can tank one more Rock Slide, but I would love to be able to get like an Aerial Ace off on that Jumpluff, or just be able to put it in a health range where potentially one Overheat can knock it out, or 2 Sludges. Switch Clock is going to be up pretty soon here. Let's see if my opponent swaps out. But out comes the Jumpluff. I'm going to be able to land this Sludge here. So I looked up the simulation on PvPoke after this, and if I remember correctly, I think Overheat does like 60-ish% damage to the Jumpluff. It's non-stab Overheat, landing on a very bulky Pokemon in Jumpluff, so I opted to just go for the double Sludge as the safe play there. Good game. Dedenne in the lead. This is exactly where we need to see it. I'm going to let the first Parabolic Charge go through. And going to be able to reach this Sludge. They do end up letting that go through, so I'm just going to immediately throw another Sludge and see what they want to do. They completely sack their Dedenne, and my backline is very weak to that, so I'm glad that they did that. This is an Acid Credilli, which is much better for my Feraligatr here. It makes the pacing a little bit slower, and there's much less fast move pressure. Out comes a Furret. We pace to our charge moves at the same pace here, and I always win the CMP tie. But that Credilli in the back is going to be very awkward to deal with, because you can hit super effective damage on my Mandibuzz. You're hitting for neutral against my Galarian Weezing. I'm going to immediately go into my Mandibuzz here and get a jump start on energy, because I'm really not threatened by the charge moves from this Furret that much. So these Rock Tombs are going to do a significant amount of damage. I'm going to shield up one of these. And then go for the Foul Play. Does a little bit more damage than the Aerial Ace. They do end up shielding that. Now they're in range where one Sludge would be able to knock them out for sure. Rock Tomb hits for a lot of super effective damage on my Mandibuzz. I'm able to reach the Sludge to be able to knock out this Credilli. And then we should be able to handle that Furret in the back, no problem. They're going to be able to get to a Swift here, but that is totally fine. We can absorb that. And you see me kind of going out of the app to try to reduce the possibility of one turn lag occurring. I still don't actually know if this trick works or not. I've just seen a lot of other battlers do it, so I'm going to continue to do it. And here you can see I'm able to reach the veteran rank, which is really exciting. Ever since I got my ELO rating, I've had nothing but positive days. And so I know there's going to be some negative days ahead. That's just normally how it goes with Go Battle League, but been having a lot of success so far running all sorts of different teams to make more YouTube content here. If you are seriously trying to climb in Go Battle League, I would not recommend that you use several different teams like I'm doing. I'm purely just doing this for entertainment value and to get some YouTube content out of it. If I wanted to seriously climb, I would really commit to one, maybe two teams and really just focus on mastering all of the matchups with those teams. Personally, I really enjoyed running the Greninja, Dusclops, and Clodsire team. So if I decide to want to try to make a big push in Great League, most likely that would be the team that I would really focus on and try to maximize my matchups with that team. But it's also been really fun just running a bunch of different teams and trying to relearn counts. Again, I've been kind of out of the competitive scene for 2.5 years, and so a lot has changed since then, and so it's been fun kind of relearning a lot of this stuff. Bone Club hits for a lot of damage there. Gonna be able to reach this Overheat, and my opponent lets that go through, able to bring out my Mandibuzz here. Rock Slide would do a lot of damage. And unfortunately, this Drapion is just going to be too fast to get to these charge moves. I really should have committed my shield on the Rock Slide, so that was the misplay that cost me the game there. Good game. Okay, amazing lead. We double resist all the Dragon type damage. Out comes a Shadow Scizor, and I'm so slow to the response here because I just didn't know what I wanted to pivot into. This is the first time that anyone has safe swapped a Shadow Scizor against me. So obviously Mandibuzz is a really good choice against this, but you need to be much faster on the response because I banked all that energy and then I didn't even throw anything. So it just put me at a huge disadvantage here. The bullet punches do so much damage and they boost, which doesn't allow me to get to another charge move. This is so bad for me. Luckily, I don't get denied, and so I can just shield once and then farm them down. But really unfortunate scenario. Now they have this Regidrago. I go straight for the Ice Beam to see what they want to do. And they do end up shielding. Now, I should have just immediately swapped to my Galarian Weezing at that point, but I was hoping that I could reach another Ice Beam. And switch advantage was so crucial in this matchup. In the back was a Unova Stunfisk, and so if I had played that secondary matchup better, went into my Mandibuzz much sooner, this would have had everything aligned where I need it to be. You can see Overheat does a very nice chunk of damage on the Unova Stunfisk. So in that scenario, if you're able to reach 2 of them, that's pretty good. And you do survive 1 Mud Bomb from the Stunfisk. But switch advantage was everything in this game. This is a prime example of the team did totally fine, but my misplay completely cost me the game here. Okay, Greninja lead, you are hitting for super effective damage with the Fairy Wind, but the Greninja is just so fast, able to reach these Hydro Cannons, and it will do significant damage to the Galarian Weezing. Gonna shield up this first one, and then they switch in their Dusclops. It is a Shadow Dusclops, and I am down a shield. So this is not super great, but honestly, depending on what they have in the back, I might not need switch advantage. They started with Greninja, they pivoted a Shadow Dusclops. It's most likely a Clodsire in the back. And so they're opting to let all this stuff go. I do lose the CMP tie here. And they're able to win that secondary matchup. So I'm going to bring in my Galarian Weezing here and just farm them all the way down. That Greninja is going to be very awkward to deal with. What is in the back? Is it a Clodsire? Yes, it is. So I'm able to go straight for the Overheat, and then I probably need to swap out of here because I'm going to drop my attack after I throw this. I pivot into my Feraligatr. That is still a very healthy Greninja. This is going to be so awkward because that Clodsire is out of health range where another Overheat would be able to knock them out. I really need to be able to land like a Hydro Cannon on that Clodsire, but I just don't think it's going to happen with how fast this Greninja paces to the charge moves. And I need to somehow convince them to get their shields down. Switch clock is going to be up soon. I do have a Sludge banked on my Weezing. And so I end up catching a resisted Night Slash on my Weezing here. And then I over farm, but they catch this move on their Clodsire. Really nice play. If I would have, there was still a win con in this game. If I would have just thrown that Sludge immediately, my opponent, I guess, must have lost track of my energy, and I should have capitalized on that. That would have put me in a much better spot there. So huge misplay on my part. You can see the team is doing completely fine. Like, I really enjoyed running this team. I was just making tons of misplays while I was doing these battles on stream. Drapion is awkward, but I can easily survive that Aqua Tail, no problem. We do win the CMP tie here. And this is most likely that Drifblim, Drapion, Fortress team. Out comes Drifblim, gets a nice farm down. This is awkward because I don't have Snarl on my Mandibuzz. The Icy Wind is going to hit for a lot of damage. Luckily, I don't get denied. I am able to get my fast move through there. I'll shield up one Icy Wind just to keep this thing healthy. Out comes a Fortress, and I'm very slow to the response once again. Now, if I fail a bait here, that's so bad because Sludge is going to do like no damage. This is just such an uncomfortable scenario here where Sludge does no damage. Your fast moves do no damage here, but Overheat would hit for double super effective. And I paced to it relatively quickly. So in hindsight, I thought that I could just go straight Overheat and safely take this. But they end up shielding twice. I swap out of there to try to avoid being stuck with a debuffed Pokemon at the end here. They're going to be able to land a Rock Tomb on me, which is going to do a lot of damage. But at this point, I don't know if an Icy Wind or a Rock Tomb does more damage to my Mandibuzz. Going to be able to throw this Foul Play onto the Drifblim. And then I really need to reach a charge move here. But I'm just barely not able to get there. And if I would have shielded that Rock Tomb, I would have been in a much better scenario. So another thrown game. But, you know, one of the things I enjoy on this channel is showcasing games that definitely had a win condition there if I would have played differently. And what in the world is this Pokemon? A Shadow Matang comes out. I had no idea what fast move this thing was running, but it looks like Fury Cutter, and I had no idea what charge moves it was going to throw. It looks like it threw a Psyshock at me though. The Fury Cutter is hitting for neutral here. Psyshock is obviously very resisted, but I don't know what the second move they have is. Gonna let it go through, and it's a Gyro Ball, so hitting for neutral steel type damage there. Out comes Dedenne. This is very, very bad. I need to somehow get out of this matchup because Dedenne is going to do so much work to me here. This thing is going to ramp up and be a menace to deal with. Thankfully, they did throw energy there because they could have easily committed to the full farm down, and that would have put me in a really bad spot. I have to let this first move go through. I'm really hoping that they just allow their Dedenne to go down. But they end up shielding it. Not great for me. I have to guarantee that I can get a Sludge off on this Dedenne, or I'm going to be in a world of hurt. I overfarm a little bit here, going to be able to reach the Sludge, but they are so boosted on their defense, it is not enough to knock it out. Out comes the Metang again. And they actually end up throwing energy here. I catch it on my Feraligatr. That is not what I wanted to do. So this is a very awkward game. They still have Dedenne, and I lost track of their energy. They had a move banked. Amazing play from my opponent here. What do they have in the back? It's that Como-O, which they led with, and I had such a favorable lead, but the team was awkward against the Dedenne. So close of a game. So many misplays on my part there. Well played to my opponent for sure. Okay, Acid Credilli. Slightly awkward here because they're hitting for neutral. I'm also hitting for neutral. Gonna go for the Sludge before they reach a Rock Tomb debuff on me. And I'm wondering if after this debuff, Overheat would still be enough to knock it out. So I'm just gonna go for Overheat and see what they want to do. And then I want to try to snipe this down with my Feraligatr, but they get DRE, I'm pretty sure, and they're able to reach this Rock Tomb. Not great. Now my attack is dropped, and they respond with a Drapion. I'm hoping that my Mandibuzz is going to have play in the back. Their Credilli is very low. Crunch from this Drapion would do a lot of damage, so even though my attack is dropped here, I want to shield this. In the back is a Jellicent. My attack is still dropped, but my switch clock should be coming up soon. I'm going to bank a Hydro Cannon and then swap into my Mandibuzz. My opponent has 2 shields and not a lot of health remaining on their Pokemon here. And Mandibuzz is just kind of slow getting to these charge moves, so at this point I'm wondering, is this just going to be a fast move game? But I end up throwing my Foul Play anyways. I know I have a Hydro Cannon banked. Out comes Drapion. And I am able to get rid of it with the Aerial Ace here. I still have that Jellicent I need to deal with. I have the Hydro Cannon stored. And I'm hoping I barely survive this Surf. But I need to pressure them to throw with my Weezing here. I go straight for the Sludge. They're just committing to trying to farm me down here. But no matter what, we're looking pretty good here. They end up throwing a move. Feraligatr wins the CMP tie against Jellicent. And they would need to be able to reach a Shadow Ball to knock me out. So we're going to be able to take that Jellicent out and win the game there. Good game. Lots of moving around in that battle there for sure. Okay, another fantastic lead. Galarian Weezing was picking up all the leads. They come out with a Gastrodon safe swap. I cannot believe that people are safe swapping Gastrodon. It's so easily walled by grass types and by any sort of flyer. So I'm really going to try to maximize this situation. I know that Mandibuzz, I can also hit for super effective damage on the Como-O when it comes back in. So I would love to leave this matchup with stored energy. And it doesn't really matter how much energy the Como-O farms off of me, because it's all going to be walled by my Galarian Weezing. That's just such a dominant matchup. I don't want to get hit by another Body Slam, so I'm going to throw right here. I still have a very healthy Mandibuzz. They're going to commit to farming me down here, but I'm just going to go straight for the Aerial Ace and do as much chip damage as I can get on this thing. Mandibuzz putting in so much work, able to reach another Aerial Ace here. What does my opponent want to do? We are looking very, very good here. In the back is a Shadow Scizor. I'm up shields, and that is very, very nice. The Bullet Punch is resisted because of my water typing, but Scizor is so fast and wins the CMP tie in these scenarios. And I'm down energy, so being up a shield is very, very nice. There's pretty much nothing they can do at this point. I had them hard countered every single way, and we maintained the alignment. Okay, awkward scenario here because this Tinkaton has access to Bulldoze, and at the time of me doing these battles, I did not know that Bulldoze has a debuff chance. And so I actually got debuffed there, but I didn't see the visual animation until you actually see the words defense fell. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, I can easily tank another Bulldoze. So I let it go through, not knowing that my defense had fell, and that did way more damage than I thought it was going to do. Out comes Annihilape. We both immediately swap out. And I really wish I would have been able to align my Mandibuzz on this, but I'm assuming since they led Tinkaton, whatever they have in the back, hopefully my Mandibuzz still has a good amount of play against. I'm going to be able to get both shields here. They actually let their Annihilape go down, and it's a Regidrago in the back again. I'm going to go straight into my Mandibuzz. I know that Dragon Energy is going to hit for massive damage. They swap into their Tinkaton. I fully farm it down. And for some reason I go for Aerial Ace here. This was a total brain fart. Should have just went straight for the foul play. I do need to shield up the big move here. But they go for Dragon Energy and I no shield it. So bad play and bad call on my part. I'm really hoping I can reach another charge move here, but I'm not. So I stayed in and gave them all that farm, but luckily I do have a Sludge Bank, and we're going to be able to knock out that Regidrago and win the game there. Good game. Galarian Weezing into Greninja. Awkward once again. But again, we're hitting for super effective damage. They're just so fast to pacing to these Hydro Cannons. I will shield one up. It's pretty rare that the Greninja baits Night Slash on that first one. It takes them 3 fast moves to reach their Hydro Cannons, only 9 turns. They sack their Greninja. And I have such a healthy Galarian Weezing. They're going to bring out Clodsire. There's no reason for me to stay in this matchup. It, once again, is the Greninja team that's very popular in the meta. So I saved my Galarian Weezing. I know that Shadow Feraligatr is going to have the most play into their team. So I do force the CMP tie here, and I want to see where they want to spend their shield. They shield this up. Now I should be able to commit to a farm down and reach a charge move against their Clodsire. They knew they were going to get farmed down, so they swap out. I'm wondering if I can reach another Hydro Cannon here, but either way, Mandibuzz is still going to be able to hang with this no problem. I go immediately for the Overheat here to just do some more chip damage. And at this point, a full health Mandibuzz can easily clean up the rest of this back line, no problem. They do knock me out with Earthquake. Just going to come in with the Mandibuzz. And if they're running Stone Edge, 2 Stone Edges are a little bit scary, and if they catch on their Dusclops, that's also scary. But they're not running Stone Edge. This is very favorable for me. I overfarm, they're not able to make the sack swap, and we're able to take this game. Thank you so much, Wholesome, for recommending this team. This was a lot of fun to use. If you all enjoyed the content, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Best of luck with your battles, and I will see you in the next video.